Welcome into NFL Daily. I am Tom Downey. We're live right now on YouTube, Facebook, and on Rumble, as we always are for our Wednesday live shows. Producer Sam Brown behind the scenes once again.
What's up?
We are in the heat of draft season, where free agency kind of quickly died, by the way. Went from like wave 1 and 2 to, okay, we're done now. Kind of fell off the cliff pretty quickly this year. Still trade rumors out there. So what do you guys like more? D for draft, T for trades, F for free agency. Sound off for me in the comment section. The DTF poll is the pinned poll on today's video. I did it again, Sam, because I'm a child. I'm not mature.
Perv.
No, it's not. This is not that. This is just me being immature. 57% voting, 56% voting draft, 23% trades, and 21% voting free agency, which I do think is the right order, even though trades aren't as common in the NFL.
Yeah, I do think that is the correct way to rank the three. I wish that trades just kind of had a little more oomph behind them in the NFL.
Imagine if we took the NBA trade and just put it in the NFL.
The NBA trade deadline is now chaos, where it's like
part of it is just the
15% of the rosters.
The number of people are it's just a different.
Exactly. There's
different.
just a greater percentage for it, but the trades are always fun whenever they come in. I feel like we've had more blockbuster trades in recent years than we have in the past. So
yeah.
Let's see which one the next one is.
Juan Hernandez just spamming DTF. XD Gamer is a Jags fan, says D because my team has always been bad. And Latuya says DTF 69. It's the right answer. I think that's the one to end on.
Tom's okay with that one.
I love it. I love it there. Jacob says D as well. Kobe Tree says D. Christopher Flores, Richard Ayakoko all say DT. Trades from Football Prods, it's 55% say draft. We'll revisit that one later on in today's show. Of course, we did launch an NFL draft channel. Hopefully you guys are subscribed over there, youtube.com/chatnfl. Speaking of draft, Jalen Carter is not going to take visits outside of the top 10 teams, which tells me one of two things. He knows he's going top 10, or he's really trying to make sure he goes top 10 and convince one of those top 10 teams, you got to take me or you're not going to have me.
I tend to think it's the former rather than the latter. Just because NFL teams, I think that you'd be hard-pressed to find a team that wouldn't be like, yeah, we'll still go ahead and give this guy millions of dollars. Maybe it's the cynical side of me, but that's just kind of the way I see it. I don't know about you, Tom.
I think he goes top 10. I think that if it weren't for the more recent off-the-field concern stuff, we're talking about a guy that could be the number 3 overall pick, who will be number 1 and still is on some people's boards. I think some teams' boards, too. I think that guy ends up going number 1 overall. So get your votes in. Y for yes, N for no. I do understand the concerns around him. From my guy Mark, to $5 super chat. Thank you, Mark. This is about a Cowboys mock draft I did. Says he doesn't agree with Darnell Washington. He could be a LaFleur type. That is the older Cowboys tight end. It was a David LaFleur, terrible first-round pick. We have 2 young and highly touted tight ends. Prefer to trade down to round 2, move and grab good DTs O-line. If that's the route you want to go and you take a DT instead, I certainly wouldn't be mad at it. I am a big fan of Darnell Washington. No one's ever going to bat 100% when it comes to the draft. It's just, I remember hearing a story of how Cowboys once took Shante Carver. That's a deep cut right there in the first round. Well, one team, the Cowboys, had, or the Packers, I should say, had him as a 7th-round player, and he went in the first round.
Shout out to
Weird
you.
Stuff happens.
Shout out to you knowing all the busts from your team's draft history, because I think everyone's going to remember all the positives instead of the negatives. So good on you for having the hindsight, the 2020 hindsight to keep track of your failures as well as your successes.
Well, it wasn't me who had Shante
No.
Carver.
It was you. Like, you sent the
that.
pick in, right?
No, I was like 5. It was way before my time.
But
Everyone gets picks wrong, and there is risk associated with Darnell, and tight ends early in general don't work out very well, so there is plenty of reasoning behind what Mark is saying there. Let's move to Lamar Jackson. Where will Lamar play in 2023? If anywhere? People are talking. Get those predictions in. I think it's going to be the Ravens. But I do really want to emphasize the think aspects of that. Oh, did we miss a super chat, by the way?
No,
So I see 524, which doesn't make any sense.
That
It was a $5 super chat.
You're right. That doesn't make
That's
any
really weird.
sense.
Okay.
I'm not going to act like I know what happened there.
All right, maybe YouTube doing inverse taxes today. New England, XFL, Ravens, Colts or Patriots, Ravens, Houston, anywhere not in the AFC South. New England, Ravens, Houston, Indy, Ravens. He's a Dolphin. Ravens, Colts, Philly on the cheap with like kind of, I think it's a trolling emoji on that front there. Ravens, Falcons, Ravens. If I have to pick one, I do pick Ravens. Not remotely confident in that. Also, CFL in there.
I've decided to put my official stance at I don't know.
Oh, that's not an official stance. That's a coward stance.
That is my official stance. I don't know where he's going to go. So
that is the only
stand.
truly correct answer right now.
Okay, so you're hating on me for being right?
I'm hating on you for being a coward, a yellow-bellied coward.
We'll talk
I don't
about
even know what that
coward
phrase
later
means,
on
but
in
I've heard it
today's show.
before.
We've got a coward talk lined up on today's show.
A little bit of coward talk there. We'll get to it. Vikings in there, Eagles, Cowboys as well. Lamar would be traded if he plays somewhere else than the Ravens this year. So name a player who you think ends up getting traded. Could be the next couple weeks, could be during the NFL draft. Sound off in the comments section for me. A player you think ends up getting dealt. Which, there will be some moves. There will be some moves there. And I'm very curious when's it going to move. Aaron Rodgers is a good one there from Kyle Scholl. DeAndre Hopkins. Saquads Barkley says, great name, my friend, says DeForest Buckner to my Bears, which would be fun because it's another trade for Buckner involving Matt Eberflus. Justin Fields, that would be a shocker. Mike Evans to Buffalo from Andy Bills Mafia. Austin Ekeler, some more Hopkinses. Mac Jones, Deontay Johnson. Buckner again is in there. Some more DeAndre Hopkins, a very popular name. We'll run through some recent trade rumors / ideas floated out by Bleacher Report. Some of which I like, some of which not as big of fans in there. Jerry Jeudy, good one. Zach Wilson. The Jets would like you to know that once they acquire Aaron Rodgers, you can have Zach Wilson for the low price of just say please. Not even a thank you at the end. Just say please. Let's see. Buckner. Mark Sanchez says, me. I'm going to get traded. I like that one there. Now, if you are ready to start today's show, I know what you're doing, Sam. Sam goes,
Tom,
you'll see the number.
Tom, pick this number, not me.
I did not. No, Sam in my ear goes, you'll see what the number is. I'm like, gee, Sam, I wonder what you're going to pick.
That wasn't me. That was Tom.
Aiming for 50% like rate, basically. So
Tom's
that's doable.
Tom's the one that writes the scripts, and I just build the graphics.
You built all of the weigh-ins. The only thing I put in the script was likes. That was it. Nothing else was specified.
That doesn't
so
sound
don't
right.
give me that BS of passing the buck off to me. We both know that was you, Sam.
Listen, the people are going to make their assumptions based on the information that they're given. That's the beauty of today's world, is it doesn't have to be true or not. You're just going to take it and make an opinion out of it. So if they want to think that it was you, I'm not going to stop them.
Again, you are not stopping them. You are lying to them and saying it was me.
I'm gaslighting.
You are literally gaslighting everyone by saying this. More likes we get, better the videos do. It's shown to more people on YouTube.
The more I'll gaslight Tom.
Yeah, sure. Just Sam will be like, hey, you actually didn't shoot even par the other day. You shot 110. You just don't remember.
Yeah, I kept track of Tom's score. It was actually a 79. He was aiming for 69. Yeah. A couple bogeys late. Choked.
Correct answer was...
Tom is not a clutch performer when it comes to playing golf.
Correct answer was 72, and I missed a 4.5-foot 5-putt on 17 for par, and I threw my putter. I was mad.
That sounds like
one
Tom.
Under par.
That sounds right.
To shoot under, but I did shoot even for the first time. 69 likes is the goal. We're at 40 right now, aiming for about 50% like rate throughout today's live show. Do it for Sam. He needs the meme support there. Here's
Tom chose this number, and so he just needs the gratification of, hey, I can laugh at 69 and not feel like a child. We got another super chat though.
We do. I thought you were going to finish more of your immaturity stuff there, but
no.
From Mark again. How's family, Tom? We're doing well. Thank you for asking, Mark. Where's Jeremy to abuse? He's on Steelers right now. He's on our Steelers live show right now producing. Why does Jerry Jones not get Poona Ford? He'd be under $5 million and a huge upgrade from Bohanna. Hankins is great but needs rest. I would love to acquire Poona Ford. I think a lot of teams should have interest there. At this point with where we're at, we're roughly 3 weeks away from the NFL draft. I think you'll see players like Poona Ford wait to sign. And wait to see how the draft plays out and try to get a little bit more money from somebody else. They're not going to cash in big time at this point. I think the Cowboys would prefer to spend less than $3 million. I think that would help preserve their comp pick formula. I think Poona Ford can and will get more than that. So wait and see on that standpoint there. So 20 likes away from the 69 benchmark that Sam, not me, Sam is desperate to acquire at this stage. So like the video. If you haven't already, it's free, it's easy to do, and it helps it get shown to more people so we continue to grow here at Chat Sports. Here's what's coming up on our live show today. NFL news and rumors, a mailbag. You can get your questions in via hashtag NFL or by super chatting, just like Mark did. We will react to Lance Zierlein's fairly wild NFL mock draft. It's unique, to say the least. And Bleacher Report came up with a couple potential NFL trade ideas. A little bit on the unspecified side. I filled in the gaps where needed. We'll break that all down coming up here live on NFL Daily. This is NFL Daily by Chat Sports, and I am Tom Downey, your host today, with all of the latest NFL news and rumors. And we're going to begin out in the Bay Area. San Francisco, once again, linked to quarterbacks. Stop me if you've... Actually, don't stop me because you have heard this before. Craig Carton, who hosts a Fox Sports show that, I'll be honest, I'm not super familiar with, claimed that he thinks the Niners could pursue Aaron Rodgers in the event the Jets trade ends up falling apart. Now, the Niners called the Packers about Aaron Rodgers the year they took Trey Lance. They called them on draft night to express interest. Packers said no. Rodgers clearly wants to be a member of the New York Jets. The Niners have Brock Purdy, Trey Lance, to a probably lesser extent, Sam Darnold. And there's also this part, too. Beyond would the Niners go get Aaron Rodgers? It seems unlikely with their salary cap situation, etc., plus the age, blah, blah, blah. Why would the Packers want Aaron Rodgers in San Francisco? Why would they want him on what is arguably the best or second best pure roster in the NFC? Now you plug in a Hall of Fame quarterback? I don't think this makes any sense. I don't think there would be interest from the Packers standpoint. There's been no perceived interest from the Jets standpoint either. And after the draft, when the Niners get a pick, it doesn't really make any sense. But it's been mentioned before, and so too has Kirk Cousins. Now, Mike Florio claims that there was NFL Combine buzz about Cousins to San Francisco. Now, you're right, Sam. We were there. I'll let you in on the secret. Some of the Combine buzz is just people talking and going, hey, you know what? Shanahan's always loved Kirk Cousins. And sometimes I think that's the case here, this kind of gets spun and distorted into, well, we were having drinks with some other NFL people, and we were talking about how, the Niners looking for a quarterback, and, Kirk Cousins was the guy that Shanahan liked, and boom, now there was Combine buzz. That's not going to happen. This is a yearly report. We've done this for 5 years now. Since the year before Cousins left the Commanders. Every year it's like Shanahan Cousins. The Niners are always linked to Kirk Cousins. But the Vikings have already restructured his contract. A trade doesn't actually make much sense. And I actually don't mind where San Francisco is at in the quarterback spot. I'm not a big fan of Sam Darnold, but Brock Purdy, Trey Lance. Purdy is a bit more in the Jimmy Garoppolo mold, which is not a bad thing, by the way, especially with what you're paying him, next to nothing. You invested a lot in Trey Lance. I know Purdy's coming off injury. Let Purdy and Lance compete. And if it doesn't work, you'll have assets next year to go spend some money. Cousins will be a free agent, by the way, to go take another quarterback early in the draft. So the here and now Rodgers, Kirk Cousins storyline, I'm not buying it. I'm calling it cap. What do you guys think? B for you're buying it. C for it's cap. It's the pinned comment on today's video. So if the ad break comes here on YouTube, well, hey, take advantage of it. Head down there and let me know. Let's talk NFL draft here. Jalen Carter. Now, his agent, Drew Rose, now says he's not taking visits with teams outside of the top 10. So I means that's one of two things. He's either going in the top 10, or he's trying to get the impression of he knows he's going in the top 10. It's not about the talent for Jalen Carter, who is an awesome football player, disruptive, penetrative three technique. It's the off-the-field stuff, the general immaturity that did exist, the intentionally vague comments by Dan Campbell saying, yeah, we heard some interesting stuff. What do you mean by interesting, good or bad? Interesting. There are some games being played across the board here when it comes to Jalen Carter because Detroit did not think they would have a chance at him. Now maybe they do. Whether they want him or not, that's a possibility. Now, Carolina's not going anything but quarterback. I don't think Houston does. And if they do, it's probably not a defensive tackle anyway. Arizona's in play at number 3 overall. Indy's going to go quarterback. Seattle, Detroit, Las Vegas, Atlanta, Chicago, Philadelphia. If you had told them, the day before the combine, you can get Jalen Carter with where you're at, I think they would have said, that's really intriguing. Did something happen? Turns out the answer was yes, something did happen there. Carter's numbers don't pop off the screen with, hey, only 3 sacks, yet he's been a consensus top 5 player in this year's class. It is the disruption, the block shedding that he shows. I remember watching, I forget which Bosa it was, but I remember watching them at Ohio State, and I went, this is absurd. I had never seen somebody at edge just so constantly keep opposing offensive linemen's hands off of them and allow them to work free. Carter does some similar things on the interior, which is it's different in terms of like the way it looks at the defensive tackle spot. So when it's all said and done, will he go in the top 10? Y for yes, N for no. Go vote, or I guess predict for me in the comment section. Do you think Carter ends up going in the top 10, so at least by the Philadelphia Eagles pick in this year's NFL Draft? Speaking of the draft, the NFL Draft hats are out for all 32 NFL teams, so go get yours today. Chatsports.com/NFL Draft hats. Whatever team you're a fan of, they've got you guys covered with both the flat brim, the more rounded brim. The default color is what you see here. It's the stone up against the team's main color there. They do have some of the alternative ones where it's a full team color instead of the stone. Some of them look better, like the Bears one, I think looks great with just the navy and orange. Other teams, I think, look better with the stone. But there's a lot of variety for your favorite NFL team, so go get yours today. Chatsports.com/NFL Draft hats. Links in the comments and the description of today's show. Let's talk Lamar Jackson here. The idea, and I think I want to emphasize it's been the idea, not like report of Lamar was going to sit out, so to be clear on that. But the idea has been floated around of, well, what if Lamar sits out the season? He doesn't seem to want to be in Baltimore. He put out his trade request that was actually issued, a month earlier. And no team has really shown interest in paying him, which is weird. Because, he's a former NFL MVP. He's younger than some of the quarterbacks in this year's draft class. Let that sink in for a second. But specifically as it relates to sitting out the season, it's a horrible idea. I cannot recall a time that sitting out a year actually helped a player. And don't sell me on the worked out for Lev Bell. No, it didn't. He cost himself money. In the end, I know he eventually got paid kind of, sort of, in a decent deal from the Jets, but he cost himself money, and he wasn't good in New York. Taking a year off of football isn't good for you. Deshaun Watson was pretty bad when he came back this year. Sitting out does not benefit you. It simply does not. So I know Lamar has no agent. If I were his agent, I would advise him, hey, Lamar, if you have to do it and you're not getting the offers that we want, okay, play on the franchise tag. Take that big chunk of change now, and then see if he can cash it again next year. Because he has dipped his play the past 2 years. Frankly, you make a real argument, maybe not so much 2022, but there's been regression in his game. Now, he's still really damn good, and I have a very difficult time finding a list of top 10 quarterbacks I would take over Lamar Jackson. And although I do think there's some collusion against him, or at least unprovable collusion of we don't want to pay a fully guaranteed deal, I do think the lack of an agent has really negatively impacted Lamar Jackson so far. I think that he's missing that in a pretty significant way outside of Ken Francis, and who was maybe not trying to negotiate and also launched a home gym with Lamar. So it's just, as the Lamar saga turns, has been quite the soap opera this year in the NFL offseason. So when it comes to Lamar, again, your guess is as good as mine. I don't know what's going to happen anymore. Where will Lamar Jackson play in 2023? Sound off for me in the comment section right now. While you're down there, please make sure you guys are subscribed. YouTube.com/chatsportstv. Free NFL videos every single day right here on the channel. News, rumors, trades, draft, free agency. We have you guys covered. So make sure you are subscribed at youtube.com/chatsportstv. We'll wrap up today's show with one of the more unusual stories here in the NFL that is definitely worth mentioning. So former Cardinals VP Terry McDonough has accused in a suit against the Cardinals with the NFL, etc., of owner Michael Bidwell of cheating, discrimination, and a whole lot more. Now, this was filed to NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell. This was not filed to any type of court. This is directly to Goodell, who I will make note works for the owners. So that seems impactful there. The big claim here in terms of how it affects the league itself beyond the workplace stuff is that owner Michael Bidwell had forced Cardinals personnel, including Steve Wilks and, of course, Terry McDonough, to use burner phones to communicate with now former Cardinals GM Steve Keim, while Steve Keim was serving a 5-week suspension after he pled guilty to, in Arizona legal terms, extreme DUI, which, of course, is against the rules altogether. Now, Arizona has mostly disputed stuff, but the ESPN report is that the Cardinals had said, well, another executive had, quote, interfere with the protocol of the suspension, and that Bidwell took swift action to take away the phones. So the Cardinals have said there was the use of burner phones, and McDonough says he has his burner phone still as evidence, which we've seen the NFL take away draft picks. This seems draft pick worthy suspension or discipline here, I guess. Among the other claims, the communication, that McDonough was demoted for not going along with his plan, workplace harassment from Michael Bidwell, swearing, being very derogatory, etc., that people worked in fear of Michael Bidwell, and I think the most explosive one, which of what we've seen so far, the claims, I'm not sure that's actually true, said that Bidwell was worse than Robert Sarver, the Suns owner, who was forced out of ownership in Phoenix. Also worth at least mentioning here that the NFLPA survey did not reflect very well on the Cardinals in terms of how they're viewed across the NFL. The Cardinals have called the claims false. They've also accused McDonough of having his own volatile demeanor. So you're not the angry guy, or we're not the angry people, you were, is kind of where we're at. It's a bit of a yes, you are, but what am I argument. So this one's worth monitoring. I know Arizona's a small team, and it's negative coverage, so Cardinals fans, I guess I'm sorry. But this one might not go away in the immediate future. We'll get to some Super Chats here in a little bit, but first a question for you guys. Are you going to watch the Masters this year? I know Sam and I are. We're locked in. Maybe wearing the obvious golf mock shirt was a clear sign that I liked golf.
Yeah, they can't see me. I'm not wearing a polo here. To be honest, that's one of the beauties of production. I don't remember the last time I've worn a polo inside this building.
Wow, way to be professional.
I digress. I do my job plenty professionally. Doesn't matter whether I got a polo on or not. But yes, Tom and I are locked in. We've already been talking about our bets. I think I'm up to $70-something in bets.
A lot more than what I put out.
Well, I think it's just the big payouts as well.
It's Rory's
Just
ear, baby.
enticed.
Rory's ear. Rory or one of the Cams, Young or Smith.
I
told
you my picks. Cam Smith will finish in the top 20. That's minus 132. That is my lock of the weekend.
I like that one.
And I made it on my own, not listening to Tom, even though he says it's a lock. It was on my own intuition and my own knowledge.
I like Cam Smith. The live guys scare me because they haven't been playing competitively. Let's be honest, it's not a competitive tour. They don't take it seriously, so kind of got to ramp things up quickly. But if anyone can do it, I think it's Cam Smith. He was the big loss.
He's going to be in the mix. There's no doubt about it.
The course fits his game so perfectly, and he at least last time we saw him on the PGA was the best putter in the game.
Yeah,
and that means a lot at Augusta. So get those votes in. Y for yes, N for no. A lot of no's in there, which is totally fine. It's not for everybody, but Harrison Sanchez, Kali Lama, get those J or an L for a second there. So I'm looking forward to it. My Sunday, one of my favorite traditions is I got Masters on one screen and I got film on the others because it's April and I got to get stuff done for the NFL draft.
I do like seeing Tom. I do like seeing Tom on days like tomorrow just switch between the two. Mm-hmm. Like it's like whenever you're watching your draft tape, like while you're working, and you're just like you peep real quick and you hear him every.
Pop the AirPod in. Have it.
You hear him like
up.
every 2 to 4 minutes. Just holy shit, what a shot! Or wow, how stupid was that shot?
They changed courses here. The 13 got pushed back about 25, 30 yards.
See, I wish someone had told me that. Now that changes my entire betting strategy.
That should be fine then. All right, super chat time from Mark. Can Bland play number 2 corner or mainly slot? If we sign Gilmore next year, we need a viable corner option. Lewis can play slot. This now win a DTO line. Agree with you on DTO line. I think Bland could play outside. They clearly felt more comfortable with him in the nickel, at least last year. Now, Lewis will also be a free agent next year. I do think cornerback, this is for the Dallas Cowboys, by the way, cornerback in general is a future Cowboys problem, where they're fine this year. Next year, they're going to have to make some moves there. Now, if they can find someone that they love, awesome. If not, you know what, they'll try again next year. $10 super chat from Aldo Mayorga? Did I get that? I don't know if I got that wrong or right. If I got it wrong, I'm sorry there, Aldo. Hello, NFL family. Are the teams with no salary cap money still able to make moves or trades? Some of these teams are a couple players to be contenders and not pretenders. So, yes, they can still make moves. Now, what they have to do at this stage is they have to be salary cap compliant in terms of, hey, we're going to make this move. We can't go over the cap just of it. So, for example, let's go with the team with the least salary cap space as it sits right now. Let's go to the Minnesota Vikings. They've got $1.5 million at this stage. The simple things they could do are cut players like Zadarius Smith, like a Brian O'Neill, or a Dalvin Cook, excuse me. Or what they could do is, all right, you know what? Brian O'Neill is counting $19.66 million on our salary cap. If we just do a simple automatic restructure, we can save $10 million. So there are ways to manipulate that cap in able to get it a little bit more organized and easily manipulatable. So it's a great question there, Aldo. Yes, they can become salary cap compliant and they can still make moves, but they have to make the physical moves to actually make that happen in the end. Welcome into NFL Daily by Chat Sports. I am Tom Downey. Lance Zierlein of NFL Network has posted his latest 2023 NFL mock draft, and I'll tell you what, it is very unlike others. And I'll say this on the top. The NFL draft every year we know is pretty weird. It's not a cookie cutter, we thought it was the way it was going to go. So there are some weird picks here. I'll give Lance some credit for thinking outside the box, but we will react to it as if it actually went down, which means not every fan base is going to like it. Pretty straightforward here at number 1. That was Bryce Young, cornerback out of Alabama. There's been smoke around C.J. Stroud. I think it's one of these two guys. Young goes number 1, Stroud goes number 1. I think Panthers fans are feeling fine. But things get wacky at pick number 2. It's not a quarterback. It's Tyree Wilson out of Texas Tech. Not even Will Anderson is the selection here. It's Wilson because, according to Zierlein, the Texans want Bryce Young, and they might not want C.J. Stroud. So, in this case, they pass on a quarterback at number 2 and take a different edge in Tyree Wilson. Lance has called this the mock that makes the city of Houston hate him, and I get it. So what is the percent chance you think that the Texans do not take a quarterback at number 2 overall? Sound off for me in the comments section. All right, back to, I guess, normalcy here, or at least expectedness, maybe is the better term there. Will Anderson goes number 3. Trade could happen if Houston doesn't go quarterback at 2. I think Indy would have a lot of, or Arizona have a ton of interest in a trade. But there is a trade at number 4 involving Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson goes to Indy. The Ravens get, well, all that's specified is the number 4 overall pick. I would assume this is the offer sheet accepted, so it's 2 firsts. It wasn't specified by Lance, but the Colts get Lamar instead of their choice of the second best quarterback this year, and the Ravens, jumping up now to number 4, take C.J. Stroud out of Ohio State, who I do think, if you're going to run a pure Todd Monken offense, actually is a pretty decent fit when it's all said and done. But we're 4 picks in, and we have 2 very, 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 very outside-the-box selections in Tyree Wilson and C.J. Stroud as part of the Lamar Jackson trade with the Ravens and the Colts. So it's a wild one so far, and it would be wild if Lamar does get moved before or during the NFL draft. So will that happen? Will the Ravens end up trading Lamar Jackson before this year's NFL draft? Y for yes, N for no. Go ahead and vote at the pinned comments of today's video. If the ad break comes here on YouTube, then take advantage of it. Head down there and go vote. More of the, I'll call them chalky picks here. Jalen Carter, number 5 overall, to the Seattle Seahawks. Trust the off the field. It's a great pick there. Devin Witherspoon goes number 6 to the Detroit Lions there. He's undersized, but he hits hard. Had a fantastic year as well. Allegedly ran in the mid-4.4s at his delayed pro day because of a hamstring injury. It's a great time for him. The Raiders at number 7, trade down. The Texans come up. So Houston passes on a quarterback at number 2, and then the thing you don't ever really see in the draft, they will trade up to then get their quarterback. All that was specified was the number 12 overall pick. At minimum, you're going to move a third, probably more in 2024 draft picks if you're Houston. And they go up for Will Levis. And that is why Houston fans were not happy with Lance, because you could walk out of this draft with Nolan Smith and C.J. Stroud. Instead, it's Tyree Wilson and Will Levis, and that's just not what Texans fans want. He goes number 7 overall. Much more of a chalky pick here. Christian Gonzalez, who I do believe the Falcons are pretty high on, number 8 overall. So we are through 7 picks. I think we had 3 pretty big shockers of where Will Levis went. Not that he went 7, but went to the Texans. Will Anderson is not the number 2 overall pick as a non-QB. We'll break down the rest of the picks here, but first, today's show is made possible by Fume. If you're tired of struggling with bad habits, Fume's perfect for you. Cold turkey might be great for sandwiches, but there's a better way to break free of those pesky habits, and it doesn't involve any weird mind voodoo or other bizarre tactics. Our sponsor, Fume, is an innovative, award-nominated device, helps you kick the bad habits to the curb by focusing on the good parts. Fume is all about embracing the natural. It's not electronic, and instead of vapor, Fume uses a flavored air. Best of all, it's free of harmful chemicals and packed with delicious, all-natural flavors. The adjustable airflow dial, immovable parts, and magnets make it perfect for fidgeting, which can help alleviate stress while you break your habit. I wasn't sure what to expect at first, but I was happily surprised by the taste, feel, and look of Fume. Breaking a habit can be tough, but with Fume, it's easy, enjoyable, and even fun. With over 100,000 customers and countless success stories, there's no reason you can't be next. Start your journey towards a healthier lifestyle with the Journey Pack from Fume. Visit tryfume.com/chatsports and use code chatsports for 10% off when you get the Journey Pack today. That's tryfum.com/chatsports Don't forget to use code CHATSPORTS for 10% off your order. Links in the comment section and the description of today's show. Semi-shocker here, Lucas Van Ness goes top 10. Over all of the offensive linemen, other defensive players, Van Ness is an upside athletic tester. Reminds me of George Karlaftis. A good athlete. Only likes to use power, though. Peter Skoronski, number 10. Fun fact, by the way, if you look at his, I know Sam's pointed this out to me before. College Peter Skoronski and Combine Skoronski look like two different people. The hairstyle, and he has a beard now, looks totally different. But he is still a very, very good NFL player. He'd be a guard option, according to Lance Zierlein. Jackson Smith-Njigba is the pick at number 11. There's another wide receiver instead of going offensive line there for Philadelphia. JSN off the board here. Now remember, the Raiders moved down to number 12. Paris Johnson, some other top corners on the board. They go Darnell Wright, the second offensive lineman off the board. As near as I can tell, I think Lance Zierlein just really likes this Tennessee draft class. Spoiler, as we'll get to later on, 3 Tennessee players in round 1, none of them. Well, I won't give it away all here. But Darnell Wright is not a pick I would like. The offensive line is needed. I think top 12 is way too expensive for him. Now, Broderick Jones, I think this makes sense. 13th overall, left tackle option, high-end upside player, needs some mechanical work, but the traits are there. No complaints there. Here's Anthony Richardson. He fell to 14 despite the buzz of being a top 5 pick this year. This scenario, I will make note, Lance says Patriots could try to trade away Mac Jones as well. So Richardson to New England, which I don't think is a very commonly mocked player pick matchup. Dalton Kincaid is to Green Bay. It's been a bit more common. Now, it does require the medical to get checked out. The back is a red flag for teams, but hey, trade away Aaron Rodgers, and then you spend a first-round pick on a playmaker. Isn't that kind of funny? Paris Johnson slides to 16. There are many who think he's the best offensive lineman in this year's class with the traits and the skills and everything. At 16, I think the Commanders would be over the moon with that selection. Deonte Banks, 17 overall. I will make note this is taking him over Joey Porter Jr., the son of the Steelers legend, which might not go over very well in Pittsburgh. Michael Mayer, the pick now at number 18 for the Detroit Lions, and I know what Lions fans are going to say. We're not taking a tight end, they say, because they don't believe in that, even though they were mad when I mocked him to T.J. Hawkinson. I think Dan Campbell would love Michael Mayer. Also, by the way, has changed his hairstyle and looks like a very different person since leaving Notre Dame. It's no longer pulled back; it's more to the side. But that's beside the point. Nolan Smith, number 19, Tampa Bay. He made a weird. There have been some comments about Nolan Smith playing straight up off-ball linebacker, and Lance made that too. Which, no. He's a pass rusher. Again, if you are taking a 4-4, whatever it is, 4-4-9, 4-4-2 athlete and saying, what if we took him away from pass rusher and made him an off-ball linebacker? You're not doing the football right. Like, you're just not. Let him go get the quarterback. Miles Murphy, number 20. I actually like that fit, and I think Smith and Murphy could both go a lot earlier come actual NFL draft time. Jalen Hyatt, here is one of the other Tennessee players I mentioned, number 21 overall to the Chargers. They don't really have a lot of speed, and although Hyatt's predominantly a slot, I think that could be a great fit with Herbert. All right, get Hyatt a free release, outrun everybody. Herbert, just throw it down there. That's actually a great player-team fit. Zay Flowers, number 22 overall. C.J. Stroud's the new quarterback. Get him a new wide receiver 1, which I'm sure would not make Lamar Jackson angry at all. He's getting paid in theory, so I'm sure it's all fine and dandy. Vikings at 23, trade down. Another trade. The Bills jump up to 23 with no specification of what the trade package is, so that's always a bit disappointing. And the Bills take Bijan Robinson out of Texas. Now, the pitch is, well, they can swim Super Bowl, and the best way to get there might be to take a running back. I will make note, it's never worked. When was last time a running back put a team over the top? The answer is Emmitt Smith when he held out from the Dallas Cowboys, and that team was already built. So I think Bijan's a great fit. I think it'd be a fun addition, but I would be wary of saying, the running back will get us to where we need to be. Joey Porter Jr., love this pick here for the Jags. This is great value. I think Porter is a top 15 player this year and would be an instant starter for Jacksonville. Now, we're not done with some of the interesting picks, but I think we're far enough in we can ask this question. What's your one-word reaction to land? Oh, you say we can't cuss, Sam? You said just don't cuss up there. Oh, okay, I guess we can't cuss anymore. But one-word reaction to Lance Zierlein's mock draft. Let us know in the comment section right now. Brian Branch goes number 25. I'm actually a huge fan of his game. This is like Julian Love, upgrade button, which is a good thing for the Giants. I got Branch as a top 15 player as well. I would adore that pick for the Giants. He would thrive in a Wink Martindale defense. Quentin Johnston goes number 26 to the Dallas Cowboys, a bigger body receiver who would also help on the outside. Is a weird blend of skills and traits that we'll talk more about during our actual draft coverage, but he's built like a possession guy, but plays like a smaller guy. It's a bit weird and unusual there, but Johnston would make plenty of local Dallas fans happy. Drew Sanders is the pick for Minnesota. Now, this is one of those, well, maybe he is better as an off-ball linebacker. He has good production as a rusher. It's kind of a volume thing there, but I think he's a good fit in Minnesota's defense, as in many ways reminds me some of Anthony Barr, who Vikings fans know oh so well. Tight end Luke Musgrave out of Oregon State. He scares me. I'll probably be wrong about him, but I saw some drop issues, some inconsistency. Had he played all year, he only played in 2 games this year, I think this would have been a much more household name. Kalijah Kancey to the New Orleans Saints. I think he is a designated pass rusher at DT, which is rare, but he's really good at it, so late round 1, sure. Keon White, number 30 to the Philadelphia Eagles. He kind of mentioned maybe playing him on the inside, which I'm not sure he's going to be a 3 technique, but he is a bit of a bigger base end. I do think he'd be a fun fit in Philadelphia, who I know wants to add some more talents up front. This would be trench player on offense, Skronsky at 10. Trench player on defense, 30, Keon White. And finally, the final Tennessee player, Cedric Tillman, in the first round to the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, I think you make a real argument. Tillman's better than Hyatt. He was banged up a lot this year. He was really good in 2020. He torched Georgia and Alabama. But 31 is awfully rich for me, especially with, among others, we'll get into this in a moment, Jordan Addison is on the board still. So grade the mock draft. You can be honest. It's fine. The whole point of it. It's different. You can be negative. It's okay. A, B, C, D, or F. Go vote for me in the comments section as we break down some players who did not go in round 1. Jordan Addison, not a first-round pick, which I think there's a real chance one of Addison or Johnston most likely don't go in the first round. Keep that in mind. Brian Brzee, the DT, I'm actually okay with that. He scares me. Emmanuel Forbes, Will McDonald, both very slender players, but very productive and impactful guys. And one of my players, Osiris Torrance, did not go in round 1. All right, I'm going to go back to the one-word reactions. These were pretty funny here. One-word reaction to Lance's mock draft. And I'll even make note, his own kids didn't like the mock draft. He was tweeting out texts from his kids saying, you know more football than me, but seriously? Was like the gist of it. Like it was pretty funny. Cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs as one word. All right. Delusional, insane, dumb, weird. Probably not going to happen. Hilarious, medium, insane, trash, stupid, delusional, horrible, Kafevi. What a throwback that one is there, Harrison. Horrible, who is in there? Someone just says dumb, bad, dumb. A lot of dumbs in there. Plenty of Fs as well. Clickbait. I don't find many mock drafts being clickbait because you've got to click in to see the bait, I guess. Like, The debate's not the headline. It's just a mock draft. The bait is the concept in and of itself.
It's like if you're fishing, this bait is like the teeny tiny little worms because you know that the fish are going to come through anyways, as opposed to like a big piece of bait that's really supposed to get your attention and get you clicking, so to speak. By the way, there was one comment that did make a really good point. I'm just trying to scroll back up to get it. Andrew Schwartz said, why does every expert think the Packers are going tight end 100% of the time? Which, that feels like it's been in every single mock draft.
So, you're trying to find spots for players sometimes. Everyone's like, okay, Michael Mayer's going to go round 1. Where do I put him in at? I think edge might be the pick for Green Bay in the end, by the way. But tight end's a need. I mean, unless we suddenly think Josiah DeGuara is going to be a competent NFL player, which at this point I'm chalking that up as a miss by Green Bay. Tight end 1 is the tight end options are Josiah DeGuara, Tyler Davis, Nick Guigimos.
Who?
Guggemos? I don't know how to pronounce it. I've never seen him play. Guggemos. Guggemos, and Austin Allen. So you've got not many guys tight end. For a team that doesn't mind utilizing 2 tight end packages, so tight end is it's a big need. It's a big need for Green Bay as it sits right now. That's why so many people have been mocking tight end in round 1. But if you want to wait on tight end because historically not great first round usage and it's a good class, totally get where you're coming from there. It is mailbag time here on Chat Sports. There are 2 ways to get on the show. You can super chat. Some have already come in from Mark, from Aldo. We'll hit those if they're still relevant to the mailbag, Sam. Or just use hashtag NFL. Now, if you use hashtag NFL, you are in the queue, or as Sam calls it,
the quay, you mean?
The quay. There it is. Not how you say it, you Frenchie. I could have used the slur, but I didn't.
I'm from Texas.
Welcome.
I've lived in Texas my whole life, and I went to school in Oklahoma.
You're French. Anyway. Hashtag NFL gets in the queue for Sam to find your question, or just super chat, guaranteed to get on the show.
So I will say, Aldo, so I'm going to get, because Mark sent in another super chat, or 2 super chats recently, I'm going to hit those 2. But Aldo is going to be the first question up, then Mark's super chat. So any super chats that come in before or after this exact second, I'm just going to get you right in the I almost said Q that time.
You kind of did say Q.
I'll get you in the quay. I call it the 60-second guarantee. As long as Tom stops talking when I tell him to, your question will be on screen
within... You missed one time.
You're interrupting me, Tom.
I know, that's why I did.
As long as Tom stops talking when I tell him to, you'll get your question on screen within 60 seconds of the super chat.
Welcome into NFL Daily. I am Tom Downey. It is our mailbag, filmed on our Wednesday live show, answering all your questions live as they come in. You know, the super chat from Aldo. Hello, NFL family. Are the teams with no salary cap money able to make moves or trades? Some of those teams are a couple players away to being contenders and not pretenders. So the answer is yes, because it is very easy to manipulate the salary cap. The Vikings, for example, the least amount of salary cap space, all they have to do is do a simple restructure of Brian Allen's contract. It doesn't change, or Brian O'Neill's money. It just impacts the way it hits the salary cap. Saves them $10 million. Just like that. So, yes, they can still spend. They just have to make moves to be cap compliant. From Mark, talking about the Cowboys here. If we sign Ford, we lose a comp pick. JJ always does a clown show. So far, A+. I'm afraid we'll choose a Kavika Pittman, and a Shante Carver. Hey, good news is the guys running your Kavika Pittman, Shante Carver drafts are gone. Those are 2 all-time busts for Dallas. Depends on the money for Poona Ford. That's what you're talking about when he witnesses Ford, by the way, those of you unfamiliar. Poona Ford, if you pay him more than about $3 million, he would potentially cost you a comp pick, yes. Another one from Mark, $5. We should not take a wide receiver. Class is not strong, unlike running backs. And if Gallup returns to form and Tolbert, improves, there's going to be a logjam. So Mark makes some good points. I think Dallas is looking at receivers to see how they feel about it and get the vibes of, okay, Cooks is here for a year or 2. Maybe they're more out on Tolbert than they've let on internally. They're going to keep Gallup for now. But I think it has to be the right guy at wide receiver for them to actually take one. From Mark again, does Jeremy get abused on other channels as well? The answer is yes. He will do plenty of other things, and Jeremy's flipping the bird. I don't know why. I'm not lying, Jeremy. You do. You get abused on other channels too. He does. He's a great team player as he blows his nose because he's all stuffy. From Fraud McDaniels, this must be a Raiders fan. Is Jalen Carter a top 10 lock? Depends on who you ask. If you ask his agent, sounds like it's a yes. He's only taking visits with teams in the top 10. But that could also be a ploy to build the appearance of top 10 interest there. It's all about the off the field. And I don't have a great feeling for where things currently sit on that. Maybe we'll know more. There's still time for the draft, still roughly 3 weeks, so things can change, but we'll see. So what do you like more? D for draft, T for trades, F for free agency. If you're DTF, sound off in the comment section which one you are at the pinned comments of today's video. So if an ad break comes here on YouTube, ignore the ad. No one cares. Head down there, D, T, or F. Mark says, love you, Jeremy, like a fat kid loves cake. Aloha. And Jeremy just waved high thumbs up back at me, Mark. Thanks. From GM Evan Hinders, should the Steelers trade back with the Chiefs and draft Will McDonald and Jack Campbell back to back? If you want to move down and go defense, I wouldn't mind that. I think corner might be a slightly bigger need than edge at this point, but I'm always down for a trade back, acquire assets, and get more players. From Cali Llama, I can't read what that says on the profile picture, but it looks funny. Llama said knock you out. That's pretty funny. Let's be honest. There's no way the Patriots trade Mac Jones, right? I don't think so. I think there is some tension there. I think there's been some issues that had actually been mentioned. It's probably not going to happen, but keep an eye on it at the Combine when Sam and I were there. I think they give him one more year with an actual NFL offensive coordinator. I've also never loved Mac Jones, so I think maybe Bill Belichick isn't sold either. It's a weird situation, though, because they sabotaged Mac Jones in year 2, and that's not what you want to do with a young QB. Mark, is Mitts another Hill or way better? No buts. Who's Mitts? Who's he referring to with Mitts? Nobody's talking about who is Mitts, another John Michael Schmitz, maybe? I'm not sure who we're talking to. Who we're talking about there, Mark. Dude, Mozzie Smith, Tristan Hill. Maybe that's who you're talking about, Mozzie Smith. Either way, yeah, Cowboys can't afford to have busts this year, Mark. So he says DT, so I think we're talking about Mozzie Smith, I think. Very different. Let's pretend it's Mozzie Smith. Yes, he says Mozzie Smith. Perfect. Very different player. Now, it is some of the still banking on the upside, but I think that there's a better floor of being a good run stopper in Mozzie Smith than there ever was with Tristan Hill. So let me put it this way. I have Mozzie Smith rated much better than I did at Tristan Hill. Latuya 67, Poona Ford to the Raiders. Good fit or bad fit? Look, I'm a big fan of what Poona Ford brings a team as more of a run-stopping defensive lineman. I think he's better than John Jenkins, Adam Butler. So if the Raiders want that run-stopping DT, I think they need DT help in general. Yeah, I'd be on board with Poona Ford, even if he might not bring the same level of pass rush that I think Patrick Graham would prefer. But still, I think it'd be a good pickup for Vegas, for a lot of teams, frankly. Skull Colt, what would be a good draft pick for the Vikings? Top corner on the board. There are probably going to be some guys, whether it's Deontay Banks, Emmanuel Forbes, you get lucky and Joey Porter Jr. slides to you that can play man coverage. I do not trust a grouping of Andrew Booth, Caleb Evans, and Byron Murphy. They need more talent there for a scheme that's going to be very man coverage heavy. I say corner for Minnesota. Now, if you want to be a part of our mailbags, then you have to be subscribed. Otherwise, you're not going to know when we're live doing these. So hit that sub button and make sure those notifications are set to all for our multiple times per week live shows and multiple videos per day right here on Chat Sports. Tristan Bravo, Bucks should go for Hendon Hooker round 2 to create more quarterback competition, or go for a tackle or DB for depth. I think tackle in general, I think you're referring to offensive tackle. massive need. They don't have a left tackle on their roster that's good right now. So that's a pretty glaring area of concern that I have for Tampa. Defensive back, they were able to re-sign some of their players. I still think, I think Brian Branch would be a fun fit for them, man. I don't know if they'll do that. It's a bit of a retooling in Tampa. If they like Hendon Hooker in round 2, sure. Round 1, I don't like that one very much. Carter Reimer, is DeMarvion overshown? Unrated. I got to remember to put the school and team positions in there. Linebacker, Texas, those of you unfamiliar. I don't think he's that. I think he's properly rated. There's some great athletic ability, some upside. There are moments, he reminds me of Malik Jefferson, where it's like, you're such a good athlete, and yet you just look confused out there. And part of that's because he moved from safety, so it's a different game for him to an extent. But I'm worried the awareness, the instincts aren't going to get developed enough to maximize what are really impressive athletic gifts. I will say he took a significant jump forward this past year on the field. From Aldo again, love how Chat Sports changed the game. Thank you, Aldo. I appreciate that. We appreciate all the reporters on the team's channels. Very entertaining and informative. Thanks, Aldo. That's very kind of you. I really do appreciate that. You guys think when Tua is healthy, he is one of the best quarterbacks? When he was healthy last year, he was a top 10 NFL quarterback. Now, we're still basing on a pretty small sample size, so if you're worried about that, you want to take some more of the longer-term proven guys, totally get that. But we saw last year what Tua can be. What I think some of the higher upside stuff, he's very accurate. I think the biggest one right now is not the play for Tua. It's, can he stay healthy? That's a big question mark right now. Hopefully, he's able to. Andy with Bills Mafia. I love Bills Mafia. They're my favorite fan base. You guys are wild. What's the Bills' biggest need? Middle linebacker or wide receiver? I think both. If you're making me choose one, I'm gonna go linebacker. Because I could survive at wide receiver with Diggs and Gabe Davis and kind of hopeful for Khalil Shakir, and I think they brought in Deontay Hardy too. You could survive with that for now. Matt Milano and do we believe in Terrell Bernard? I'm not sure I do. I think linebacker. I think the depth is worse there too. So I'm going to go linebacker, then wide receiver. Roman Ham, what's up, Tom? How you doing today? I'm doing good. Do you agree with Joy Taylor that the Falcons don't care about winning? If so, what do you got to do for them to get the respect they deserve rise up? I think this is based on we don't have any interest in Lamar Jackson, and we want to make Desmond Ridder the guy. And I don't know if it's specifically in Atlanta's case, if that's an evidence of we're not trying to win football games, because they've also spent money on David Onyemata, Calais Campbell, Cade Nellis. So they're clearly trying to win. So I disagree with that. I would agree that if I were the Falcons, I would have gone after Lamar Jackson, and I would have shown interest there. Now maybe they get creative and say we'll do it after the draft and keep our first-round pick this year. Dark horse idea. But to get the respect they deserve in the end is to go in the NFC South. It's a very gettable division this year. From Ego My Lego, that's backwards, but I like it. Could the Niners trade Trey Lance? I don't think they will. Look, we have not seen Trey Lance play football. We know Zach Wilson is a bust at this point. Call it what it is. Trey Lance is still the mystery box. It could be anything. It could even be a boat. He hasn't played much, and we've seen flashes in the preseason at North Dakota State. It's just, I haven't seen much of it. So if I were the Niners, I would let Lance and Purdy compete. Then I will figure out what happens next year if one of those guys proves themselves as their guy. So will the Niners trade Trey Lance this year? Y for yes, N for no. Predict it for me in the comments section. Gamer Dude is back. Happy to have you here, my friend. With a Niners trip in the second round to get Cody Mauch or Blake Freeland, they have the assets with a bunch of the third and fourth round picks to go be aggressive. I would wonder if they stand pat. Cody Mauch will not get to them. I wouldn't rule out Blake Freeland, if not second round, sliding into the third round. I do think Freeland's a pretty good scheme fit, though, for what the Niners want to do on offense. So I think 2 good names if they do want to get aggressive and move up. Hal Snipes II. I think Van Ness is the top 10 talent. He is not top 10 on my board. I'm not anti-Van Ness. I think he's worthy of being a first-round pick in terms of the top 31 players, but it's like saying George Karlaftis was a top 10 player last year. I don't think it's the case. There's upside for sure, but he's not top 10 on my board. From Mark, who's scouting our D linemen, we have sucked. Golston, Bohanna, Neville, Anai, Hill, Jackson, Jelks, Joey Ivy, Taco, Taper, Collins, Armstrong, and Osa are the best. That's not good. Or Armstrong and Osa are the best. Well, do they get some credit for Micah Parsons at all? Or is that just like we lucked into the whole linebacker thing there, which I think is fine. I like what I've seen from Sam Williams so far. The one thing that I'll give them some leeway on, Bohanna, Anai, Jackson, Jelks, and Ivy, even Taper, those were all day 3 picks. And more often than not, you're going to miss on your day 3 picks when it's all said and done. But I think in particular, it's the Neville Gallimore, at least recently, pick and the Tristan Hill pick that really, really hurt because you spent so much on those guys' relative draft capital. I'm not out on Goldstein. I think he showed some nice flashes last year. You still don't have that impact player at DT. That's what Dallas is missing, and that's what I agree with you on, Mark. From Tom's Burner's Burner, wow, we're getting way deep in the weeds now. What's Carson Wentz's future? I don't know. It's a great question. Is he done? Is he going to play again? Carson Wentz isn't good. I don't know if he's got the typical backup leadership mold that NFL teams want. He was good in 2019 to an extent, but the numbers have really fallen off. The 2021 numbers were deceptive, and that's why I think they were too quick to fire Frank Reich in Indy. I don't know where Wentz goes. Is it do the Ravens bring him in if they trade Lamar? That's not a great option. So I don't know what happens with Carson Wentz. That's a great question because his future's murky as all get out. So what do you think ends up happening? Who, if anyone, will sign Carson Wentz? Go ahead and sound off for me in the comments section right now. Brokov, should the Commanders take Josh Downs to make Sam Howell more comfortable? Well, they do have Diami Brown, who is also at UNC. They've also got Terry McLaurin, Jahan Dotson, and Curtis Samuel. So spending a second on Josh Downs to be wide receiver 3/4 with already big investments made probably isn't the right route they're going to go. And from Clayton Lockhart, our final one here. Why isn't there any love for Jack Campbell? The Cowboys get Osiris Torrance, Ashton Washington, and Jack Campbell. I'd be jumping for joy. What say you? I just think he's a Leighton Vander Esch style linebacker. I don't think he has the same splash plays teams crave, but he's a good tackler. He's pretty reliable, and he's a way better athlete testing-wise than people thought he was going to be, hence Vander Esch. But round 2, I'm fine with him right there. Make no mistake about it. All right, question of the day. Are Peeps good? You guys know about the candy. Are they good? Sam, yes or no? I'm going to judge everything I know about you based on your response here.
I don't know that I've ever had one.
Okay. That's fine.
I was sitting here as this question was coming up trying to think. Maybe I've had one or two tops.
I think we have one. Do you want to go at that? Do you want to go get one and try one? Eat it on air. Go ahead and put your camera on and eat it on air.
All right. Let me go. TBD. Go get some shout-outs.
The answer is no. Peeps are trash. They're not good. Peeps are the worst candy ever invented. So I would rather eat candy corn than Peeps. And frankly, it's not even close. It's not even a conversation for me. Sam has found a Peep. I'm not eating a Peep. I don't like Peeps. Yeah, if we get to 100 in super chats, I'll eat a Peep.
Tom's poop over Peep, so
that's a weird thing to say. So Sam's going to come on here. Oh, yeah, let's not do that one there. Gamer Dude says yes. Clayton says no. Anthony says yes. Scaper equals mid says no. Bobby Plays says yes. Let's bring on Sam here to try a peep. Jelly's better. So Cali Llama says Peeps as a Peeps flavored soda, which is good with Jameson. Now I like Jameson. I believe we have the Peeps flavored soda to use on Raiders this weekend.
Jameson here.
I'm pretty sure I drank on the Jameson, by the way.
Not surprising.
I'm like 99% sure I drank.
But there's a chance. All right, Peep. We're going to give it a go.
Yeah.
Do you want the other half of this?
No, I don't want the other half of it. I hate Peeps. They're not good. Sam's trying one for the first time. He's like, it's okay to start, and then it's like, oh no, it's not good. Right? That's what you're tasting.
It's okay to start, but it has no flavor. Like, it's not bad. It just doesn't.
They just suck.
It just doesn't taste like anything.
They just suck. Someone says Peeps Oreos were goated. Yeah, because they're just Oreos.
Well, Oreos are
You're eating an Oreo. That's why you like it. Like,
that just doesn't really have much flavor behind it.
They're just not good. And
It's
they're also terrible for you. It's just like sugar-coated marshmallow. I hate that.
I'll give that like 5.5 out of 10.
So, is it good? Yes or no?
Sure.
I hate you. The answer is no. The answer is an absolute no. Latuya says they are disgusting. I agree. I don't like Peeps. Someone says Dr. Pepper Peeps are really good.
My thing is
Dr.
just
Pepper.
Like, why don't you just get marshmallows?
Here's the way, people are like, well, if you do this flavor, okay. Why do I have to have a special flavor of your core product? That's the people who tell me, well, you got to have the animal-style fries from In-N-Out. No, the fries suck.
Just make good fries.
If I have to drown them in Thousand Island dressing to make them edible, that means they are bad. You can disguise them as much as you want. It's like, well, have you tried a salad with ranch? Yes, it makes it better. It still is disgusting, and I'm drowning it with something bad for me. It defeats the purpose.
Right,
it's not good.
Go. The real Tom's coming out right now talking about salad being bad.
I'm just saying.
Why am I not surprised that sentence came out of your mouth?
They're just not good. So I think the no's won, and that makes me quite happy in the end. Welcome into NFL Daily by Chat Sports. I am Tom Downey. We are about, give or take a couple days, 3 weeks away from the NFL draft, but the NFL trade rumors are heating up right now. And Bleacher Report has come out with 7 different trade rumors/ideas. So we'll go through each of them, beginning with the most obvious one in the world, Aaron Rodgers to the Jets. And it has sounded like for what feels like a month, but it's not quite a month. It's a matter of when, not if, Rodgers ends up a member of the New York Football Jets. The alleged trade parameters, 2 seconds, one of which being conditional, going to Green Bay. Potentially wide receiver Corey Davis, namely if Odell Beckham ends up in New York. The Jets get Aaron Rodgers, and the sticking points has been the fact that Jets want a conditional 2025 pick in the event that Aaron Rodgers only plays 1 year because, you got to sacrifice everything to get maybe 1 year of Rodgers, who, if you get 2020 or 2021 version of Rodgers, it's worth it. If you get last year's version, he wasn't good enough to make the playoffs, and it was Rodgers who did not play as well. The money, Rodgers says he's open to adjusting. I don't know about that. He's once said that he didn't need to play for $50 million. That was untrue, and then got $50 million. So it's a bit dicey as far as I'm concerned. But the money is not due. That option bonus is not paid out until week 1. So it could be a little bit before Rodgers ends up getting dealt the new benchmark timeline by or during, I suppose, the NFL draft. Will Rodgers be moved by that point in time? Y for yes, N for no. Go ahead and head down to the comment section and sound off right now. Will Rodgers be traded by the NFL draft? Another big obvious name, DeAndre Hopkins to the Chiefs. Now, Hopkins has long been linked in trades, but no one's been willing to pay the cost, both the contract cost involved and the Cardinals' alleged desire of a second-round pick. Now, the trade idea from Bleacher Report was a third-round pick. Goes to Arizona. The Chiefs get Hopkins, and I'll tell you what, Hopkins and Mahomes seems unfair. I don't think the rest of the NFL likes that idea, although I think the NFL is not sold on Hopkins remaining a long-term piece in the NFL because injuries, age, contract, missed time, for some potentially weird reasons, not much interest in Hopkins. And in general, when that happens, the player doesn't have that much time left in the NFL. It's the NFL. Sometimes they're pretty smart. So, of the two big names here to begin, who gets traded first? AR for Aaron Rodgers, DH for DeAndre Hopkins. It's the pinned comment on today's video. So if the ad break comes here on YouTube, take advantage of it. AR, DH at the pinned comment. I hate going back-to-back Chiefs trades, but that's what Bleacher Report did because that makes sense. The Rams have allowed Robinson to seek out a trade, and there has been zero interest. And be honest, you might have forgotten that the A-Rob was available. The trade idea from Bleacher Report was a 2024 Day 3 pick, with this trade going on after June 1st to save the Rams some more money. And it's the money that's the problem here. A-Rob has been bad for 2 years in a row. He's due over $15 million each of the next 2 years. The Rams save more money after June 1st. I think if they want to move him, they have to eat a significant portion of the contract this year and or next year because it's just not a team-friendly deal. The last 4 years for Allen Robinson, a player who was once quarterback-proof, didn't matter who was throwing the football, he was going to go for 1,000 yards. 22 games, hasn't hit 800. That's a red flag, and I think that's a big factor in why there's been zero reported interest in Allen Robinson so far. Are you tired of struggling with bad habits? Cold turkey might be great for sandwiches, but there's a better way to break free from those pesky habits, and it doesn't involve any weird mind voodoo or any other bizarre tactics. Our sponsor, Fume, is an innovative, award-nominated device helps you kick bad habits to the curb by focusing on the good parts. Fume is all about embracing the natural. It's not electronic, and instead of vapor, Fume uses flavored air. Best of all, it's free of harmful chemicals and packed with delicious, all-natural flavors. The adjustable airflow dial and movable parts and magnets make it perfect for fidgeting, which can help alleviate stress and anxiety while you break your habit. I wasn't sure what to expect at first, but I was pleasantly surprised by the taste, feel, and look of Fume. Breaking a habit can be tough, but with Fume, it's easy, enjoyable, and even fun. With over 100,000 customers and countless success stories, there's no reason you can't be next. Start your journey towards a healthier lifestyle with the Journey Pack from Fume. Visit tryfume.com/chatsports and use code chatsports for 10% off when you get the Journey Pack today. That's tryfum.com/chatsports. And don't forget to use code chatsports for 10% off your order. The link is down in the comment section and the description of today's show. Next up is Austin Ekeler to the Bengals. Now, Ekeler has requested a trade. He did not get a contract he wanted for the Chargers, and I don't know if anyone is going to offer that for Austin Ekeler, but maybe a one-year rental would intrigue some teams, although that would be just what the Chargers are doing. Their trade idea was a fourth-round pick to L.A. Bengals get Ekeler, also move on from Joe Mixon, so it's actually some short-term contract savings, assuming they don't pay Ekeler long-term. If they do, well, it's a different conversation in the end. I don't know if teams want to pay a third contract for a back in the modern-day NFL. But Ekeler, look, we know how good he is through the air and on the ground. I mean, we're talking about a almost 20-touchdown player who can get you 900 yards on the ground and let's just say 650 through the air. That is fairly rare at the running back position. The concern is teams worry how much longer he has left in the tank. And that's not fair. It's just like in a pure talent level, a fourth is low for Ekeler. But it's a long-term thing. How long will he stay that guy? I think the concern is not that much longer. Let's get weird. The Panthers trade the number 1 pick. Now, they already gave up a haul to move pick number 1, and a trade down would certainly be a surprise. But the idea was Texans get number 1, Panthers get number 2. They still get their quarterback, which I think borders on just kind of galaxy bringing it a little bit of like, we're going to trade down, still get our guy. Teams don't do that very often at the quarterback spot. Panthers get another day 2 pick, second-round pick. So it's like it makes sense like in Madden, but in real life, Carolina's probably going to prefer one guy over the other, and that second-round pick isn't enough to have things make sense there. It'll probably be Bryce Young or Stroud, although there have been some whispers out of Houston that they want Bryce Young. And maybe Carolina will start to leak that they want Bryce Young too, and maybe they want Stroud. It's a little bit dicey, but it's a unique idea. I'll put it that way. Now, Chat Sports has the best NFL draft videos out there. Plus, it is free. So if you haven't already, subscribe. YouTube.com/chatsportstv. Another draft trade, the Raiders move up in round 1. Now, the Bleacher Report article mentioned 3 or 5 as trade-up targets, but if you're going up to get a quarterback, you want to get to 3 so Indy does not snipe you. The rough trade was 2 firsts and more was all that was specified. It would probably be another day 2 pick or maybe a future pick in there with the quarterback tax involved in that idea. But if it'd be a little weird for the Raiders to spend all that money on Jimmy Garoppolo, then go draft somebody. But if you want your quarterback, it's going to save your jobs long term if you're McDaniels and the GM. Ziegler makes some sense. Now, the issue is it's probably going to be Levis or Richard. Now, maybe Stroud falls. Maybe Stroud falls to 3 or Young falls to 3. Maybe at that point, it makes even more sense for Vegas to get aggressive and go move up for somebody. But it would still be, I think, a bit of a surprise for the Raiders to jump up at this stage. Now, one more player still to come. Before we get there, name a player who you think ends up getting traded. Sound off for us in the comment section. Lamar Jackson, the final player from Bleacher Report, and doesn't that just make sense? You knew he was going to be on this list. I also don't know if anyone's going to make a move. Now, they did not mention a trade package, but assuming it's the offer sheet not matched and traded, it's 2 first-round picks for Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens is the trade package there. And it would be a lot of money. You're talking not just probably in the $15 million per year range. You're talking significant guarantees from that standpoint. I'll throw this out there too, just by the way. And there's some pros and cons here. If you're Indy and you knew the Ravens weren't going to match, you would want to wait till after the draft because you would keep the number 4 overall pick, move your next 2 firsts, in theory, would be far later. But if the Ravens do match, now you're in trouble because you're starting Gardner Minshew and your GM might be getting fired over this and jobs might be lost because, the Ravens, we're not going to get a quarterback this year. Are they just going to match it? So that's the danger of doing that. But in terms of maximizing your value, it's a good way to go about it. What do you guys like more, draft, trades, or free agency? Draft is winning in a runaway, Sam. 67%. Does that surprise you at all?
No, not necessarily. I think that a lot of people want to see the next generation, I guess, or the next crop of players that their favorite team will get. And there's a lot less familiarity, so I think it's more exciting maybe for people to get to fall in love with the prospect that they don't know or something like that. Free agency, you get a little bit more proven commodity type of thing. You know the players, but I think there's just so many unknowns that go around the draft and so much chaos that unfolds, especially on that first night. You know better than most.
It's fun. Sometimes
it's a
they
good
make
time.
sometimes they make
favorite.
stupid decisions, but sometimes they make great ones in the end.
It's true. But the stupid ones are the ones we live for at the same time. As fans.
They kill me.
Of other teams.
D, T, or F. Kyle Lama says D and draft day trade. So get those votes in. Vote in the pinned poll if you haven't already. It's D, T, or F. Correct, Sam? And make sure you guys are subscribed. Free videos every single day right here on Chat Sports. Do not miss out. Hit that sub button for free right now. And we'll see you guys again next week / tomorrow if you watch our on-demand videos multiple times each and every single day.